I know what you're thinking. He's talking about Rolex again. I am, and I hope you'll forgive me for why. For me, Rolex is the barometer for the industry, the clock I set my time to when it comes to what I think is going on. And what I think is going on continues to surprise me. A couple of months ago, I made a video about how the Tudor Pelagos 39 wasn't just a great watch, it was a clue in the unlocking of Rolex's secret master plan. And I said this.
You see, the thing is that Rolex doesn't like taking risks with Rolex. Now it has Tudor, it has the opportunity to test stuff there first. And it makes perfect sense really using Tudor as a test bed. You can try smaller cases or bigger cases. You can try different materials like ceramic and titanium. And you can try different orientations of the case like the left-hand crown. We've seen all of those things being tested in Tudor and eventually making their way to Rolex, where they've been successful. Titanium.
As we know, Rolex moves so slowly it makes evolution look a tad brisk, and it's not like the watch industry in general is particularly well known for its pace. For big brands like Rolex, a shiny new product fresh for display purposes only in the jeweler's window will usually be the culmination of around 5 years' work. That's 4 and a bit years thinking about it and 6 months choosing the right photocopier to actually do the design with. I mean, probably. I do know from an insider that even working for Rolex is like, you join, and for the first few years you're just expected to sit there and do nothing except look. No touchy-touchy until year 3, and even then it'll just be to adjust the kerning on the small print in the back of the instruction manual. 5 years ago, we saw Tudor do something unusual with the Pelagos, its professional diver that had been released just a few years before. It moved the crown from the right to the left. Everyone was all like, huh, okay. To Rolex's relief, people didn't want to squeeze lemons into their eyes to avoid it, and so the GMT Master 2 project, codenamed Make It Again But Upside Down This Time, could commence. The Pelagos LHD also affirmed the acceptability of the Pelagos collection as a whole in the Rolex universe. We've seen watches ditched like the North Flag, and even resurrected like the Ranger, but the Pelagos has clung on, despite being not quite as popular as its mature for its age, Black Bay's sibling. So around the same time as the left-handed GMT Master 2 kicked off, another plan came together. 5 years before the Pelagos LHD, Rolex had sent a whopper of a watch down to the bottom of the sea, care of James Cameron. This watch was a concept, really, never strictly intended to be worn. That is, until Omega managed to eke the diving record out a little further to snatch it from right underneath Rolex. That was 5 years ago. With me so far. So Rolex had to do something about it. James Cameron was busy making 1,000 Avatar films, and his submarine was in the shop getting the alternator replaced anyway, so Rolex had to take the fight to the street instead. The high street, I mean. What could it do to make a splash that would claw back some of the reputation that had taken a good slapping 10,928 meters under the sea? Making that concept watch, the Deep Sea Challenge, a reality that customers could actually buy. Was that something? A watch that, in theory or at least verbally down the pub, a paid-up member of the public could wear to the bottom of the ocean. Was that going to be enough, though? Rolex had seeded the idea of larger dive watches in 2008 with the original Deep Sea, which expanded the oyster case from 40 to 44mm. To increase the case size again over a decade later by about the same percentage wasn't really enough for the marketing teams to shout about, nor would they want to, and so there needed to be a little PR cherry on the top. This is the part where everyone in the meeting turns to look at the Pelagos, and the Pelagos is like, what? You see, the answer was there in that watch the whole time, shrouding its little beating heart.
Titanium.
Rolex had never made a titanium watch before. It made the Deep Sea's case back from titanium to reduce weight, but not a whole watch. And so, Emperor Rolex commanded a new set of clothes be made for the Deep Sea Challenge, this time from titanium. The Pelagos had proven the material safe, which, when you consider that Rolex is more nervous than a mouse at an audition for the musical Cats, makes sense. A lot of people don't like titanium because it feels lightweight and cheap. That would be no such problem for the 50mm deep sea challenge. But those same PR people must have had a strokey beard meeting and decided that titanium still wasn't quite enough, and so they reached into the Rolex bag of tricks and decided to come up with a stupid name for it instead. We've seen oyster steel, garden variety 904L grade steel, Rolesor, garden variety steel paired with gold, and Rolesium, garden variety steel paired with platinum. And so the department of silly names deep in the bowels of Rolex was brought into action once more to do the very same for garden variety titanium. They couldn't follow the trend of sticking Rolex at the front of titanium because they'd just end up back at Rolesium or something way too similar, and so they just said, "Ah, fuck it," and called it Rolex Titanium instead, condensing Rolex to RLX as though that means something.
Made from our RLX Titanium.
I mean, I don't know what level of imagination we were expecting from Rolex, but I thought they'd try a little harder than that. I guess they're just hoping people are easily impressed. Anyway, the point is that Rolex are doing what I said they were doing. They're allowing Tudor to take the blows, leaving Rolex safe in the knowledge that it understands what works and what doesn't. I find piecing all that together from the blood spatters and broken teeth left behind by Tudor as it takes its licking really, truly fascinating, and I hope you do too. It's also, of course, very satisfying to be right. I hope you enjoyed this little slice of thought into the ongoing Rolex campaign to take over the world. If you did, please do like and subscribe, and why not tell me what move you think Rolex might pull next, thinking back to Tudor's dealings 5 years ago. In the meantime, if you want to see more from me, head on over to the Watchfinder channel. And until next time, goodbye.